Hello, my lovely soul, and welcome to Unstoppable Confidence. I am your host, Lauren Glick. I am here to bring you my energy, my motivational speaking, and me being a confidence mentor. My mission is to inspire women to own who they are, step into their higher selves fearlessly, and live a life with unstoppable joy. On this show, we are going to cover everything from aligning your life to your higher self, setting boundaries, self-growth, and living a purpose-driven life. Let's get you living a meaningful life you cannot wait to wake up to. Stop driving and start living with ease and abundance. Cheers to living a magical life. And I am so grateful to be on this journey with you. Now, let's head into today's episode. Holy moly, ladies. I have Courtney and Lanthe today. They have a business called Wild Enneagram Love. And if that name doesn't give it away, I don't know what will. So their business is all about Enneagrams and actually pairing Enneagram, your number to scent. And gosh, I can't wait for you to listen to this episode. It is so rad. There's just some fun things going on. So in this recording, I want you to really focus in on yourself and what number that you think that you might be, because I want you to tag me on my Instagram and put the number Enneagram that you think you are. We're going to go through all 9 of them. We're going to go through the scent of what Enneagram number that you correlate with as well. So I'm super excited for this episode. It has been so much fun getting to know Courtney and Lanthe. So on that, loves, I will see you on the other side. Hello, ladies. I'm really excited to introduce you to Courtney and Lanthe. Oh, you like how I pronounce that? Really Lanthe. I had the hardest time pronouncing her name, but I am so thankful that they are here today. And shocking, I met these 2 beautiful souls in Clubhouse. And I'm excited for them to talk about their new business adventure that they have started together. So, Courtney or Lanthe, who wants to start to get started on what you guys are doing together and how this all got into movement with each other?
Lanthe, do you want to talk about the whole meeting? That's your favorite story.
Yeah. You know me so well, even though we met on Clubhouse as well. And now we have this amazing business. So we want to change the world through understanding emotional intelligence and self-awareness, right? Through the Enneagram. But hey, it started somewhere. So where it started is I heard Courtney's voice in a room on Clubhouse. And when I heard her talking, I had this feeling right away. It was like, I don't know, you could call it your intuition, a voice, very loud and clear, not just her voice, but my inner voice saying, you're going to work with this woman. You need to know this woman. You do know this woman. And, you know, we hear hundreds of voices on Clubhouse every week, and I haven't had that strong reaction. I've liked a lot of people, including you, Lauren. Super. I love a lot of people, but there was this other thing to it. So I wasn't surprised when I received a message from her saying, there's some way we have to work together. I don't yet know how that is, but I know we're going to work together. And so it was this confirmation of that voice is real. And then this whole thing started, and really over the course of 90 days, we have just poured out these ideas, and we've created a business.
I love it. And I think you make such a good point as the voice, and that's why I love Clubhouse. And what I always talk about as well is that the voice is so powerful with the energy exchange. And true connections definitely do come from the app. And that's why I'm always talking about it. So I love that's where you two ladies met. Just another confirmation of why to get into Clubhouse, because you definitely do meet like-minded individuals. Courtney, did you want to talk about your business adventures with Ianthe and what that entails with each other?
Sure. So, we had that first conversation and both of us were kind of deeply following intuition and understanding we were going to do something, but what something, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of those starts to conversation happen through Clubhouse sometimes, but it doesn't always go somewhere, and definitely not quickly. So for it to take on a life of its own and have energy that was easy, and both of us quickly were saying like, this is easier than other parts of our businesses in terms of making things happen, because it's just such a need. So what we're doing is essentially we've created this thing called Wild Enneagram Love, or we call it the Well Method as well, with one L.
Yeah.
And we are offering a variety of things, but we're offering community that's free on Clubhouse and Facebook and other places, but our favorite place is Clubhouse. And we're also offering some membership levels that are like either very, very small and approachable, up to more involved and immersive and getting to really know Enneagram on an individual level. And people can just scale. They can come in where they need to be. And the whole purpose is to help people reconnect with themselves and reconnect with others. So we're just recognizing there's this huge loneliness void, and there's this huge need for additional self-awareness to just walk in the world right now. And so it just became really clear that this was a good thing. And then it's interesting, like even in the course of the short time we've been working on this, the world keeps asking for it more, right? Like things keep changing to make more space for the fact that we need this. So, and that people are just, so every time we introduce it to somebody, they're like, oh my gosh, your timing's perfect, because really the world is kind of, breaking apart right now, and people need to find a way to reconnect. And there are a lot of lonely people who don't have a community. So we're trying to take care of all those people. And so we have a variety of different things we offer, but it goes all the way from, basics about what the Enneagram is, and basics that help people in a tangible way with meditations or color, or just reflection exercises to understand the elements of the Enneagram and how they can use those in an integrative way, all the way to we have things that are physical, like candles and roll-on scent, because we know that scent and sort of the ancient technology of something like candles are some of the oldest things. So we really are all about merging really ancient and old and brand new. So
I love that. And for my listeners today, some of them might not even know what Enneagrams are, including me. I know there's been a lot of talk on it, but I haven't really dove into the understanding of Enneagrams.
Yeah. So the basic on that is that Enneagram is right now it's another behavioral assessment. People have seen maybe Myers-Briggs, or they've seen DISC, or whatever. Everybody's probably or taken some BuzzFeed quiz on something, right? To do with behavior or personality. But Enneagram began in ancient Greece and Rome. Enneam means 9 in Greek. And it's based on sacred geometry and based on the idea that we all move through 9 different energies and move around this circle. So it's different than other personality tests, because it says you have a core type, but that you have access to a variety of other parts of the sequence of numbers, and that you can move around in growth, basically. That's oversimplifying it, but and then there's a lot of specificity within it. I mean, this is the kind of thing that it's not like take a test once, be done. It's more like you could spend years, decades, lifetimes understanding all these different nuances of yourself through this lens. So it's gotten pretty popular, but we're kind of using it a little bit differently.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned it. Now, as you were talking about Enneagrams, I was like, oh, that's interesting. I knew 2 influencers online that like are so stoked that they're Enneagram 7, and they talk about it all the time. And I'm like, okay, what does that even mean to me? I don't even know. So what are the benefits of knowing your Enneagram number? Like Like, what would I do with that if I knew what it was?
Yeah. I think if you know your Enneagram number, automatically, very, very quickly, you have access to a different kind of self-awareness, because there's some clarity in having that core type and understanding the first layer of detail, because each number has 3 subsets, and there's a first layer of detail, and that's really important for self-awareness. But also when you know your number and you start to understand the other numbers, you get access really quickly to this compassion and empathy for other people, because you can see them more objectively for the fact that Enneagram believes we're born this way. We're each born in that space. So we can access shadow and light in it, and it encourages us to look at both sides. But what's cool about it is we can offer ourselves a lot of softness and other people a lot of empathy with this understanding. It just gives us, I think it really reduces the harshness between people.
Interesting. I like that. And within your business of Well, how is the Enneagram connected to the scents and the use of candles?
Well, fragrance and scent, out of all of our senses, the sense of smell is hardwired to our brain. It's the thing that we connect to immediately without it having to pass through all sorts of the nervous system and going through our mind. And it literally just is delivered the scent. That's why there are people that I'm sure everyone listening has a scenario where they smelled something and it was so awful and it turned them off immediately.
Yeah.
Or they smelled something, right?
Yeah.
And then they smell something and it's so good. And then every time they smell that thing, they are taken back to that. Or maybe it's connected to a person, like in my case, my grandmother, who I miss, who I was very close to, wore something called White Shoulders. It was a really old school perfume. And whenever I smell White Shoulders, which is rare these days, I'm immediately with my grandmother. So yeah, so because knowing that about scent, knowing that scent is so important to us as beings, we really do relate to it. And it's part of how we take care of ourselves too. Pregnant women have a heightened sense of smell because it actually keeps them safe from eating things that that don't smell right. It keeps the baby safe because they're not going to eat that thing.
Yeah.
So it's an amazing. So what we did is we got together, and by the way, I'm going to give you a disclaimer, everyone. I didn't know anything about the Enneagram when I heard Courtney's amazing voice that day in Clubhouse. And so I just want to say, even though her level of understanding of it is so deep, mine is so surface, and yet I already use it all the time. I'm already saying to myself, so I just want to welcome everyone that's new to this to be like me. It's okay to be new to this because you're going to start using it as a tool. So now I say, oh, I'm a 2. Oh, that was so 2 of me. And it does make it so that I take things less personally, so I'm able to handle things better. So back to the smell, we took every single energy of the Enneagram. So there are 9. All the numbers have these different energies and things that lead them. And because I think of scent in terms of stories, once Courtney explained the story of the fragrance, or I'm sorry, of the Enneagram number, I knew immediately, I think this is the fragrance then that works with that story. And then she was the final say. I would send her all the fragrances and she would say, that one's not quite right. 8 is she's an 8. So 8 has to be this, it's a little that, and it needs to be more this. And we did that work until we landed with what we really feel is the scent that tells the story of the energy of that number, 1 through 9.
That's so interesting.
Okay.
No, go ahead, Courtney.
I was just going to add by saying we are both really picky with scent, really, 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 and particularly like artificial type smells. So this is all natural. It's very gentle, and it's not like 1 is lemon and 2 is, it's very complex. I mean, someone will smell it and they won't recognize it as one thing. So what's cool is it'll feel very unique. So
interesting. So if I was to say that when I was getting because I get massages for like rheumatoid arthritis and stuff, and I went to one of my friends and she had a scent going on in the background, and I'm like, what in the hell is that scent? I am like in love. I need to smell that all the time. And it turned out to be Ling Ling. Is that correlated with any Enneagram number?
I can't remember.
Ylang Ylang is a beautiful floral, and we did correlate. I'm going to say that there is a hint of that in one of them, and I'm just looking really quick.
Yeah, that was.
I'm thinking it's actually the 9. It smells like harmony.
The adaptive peacemaker.
Adaptive piece. Okay, I'm going to ask you another question because I think it makes it like, because I'm like out there, if you're listening in right now and you're like, oh, well, I was attracted to this scent. If you ladies don't mind going over like the numbers, maybe like a brief description on them and what a scent related to that. Is that okay to go over right now?
Yeah, I think so. Lanthe, do you have the sense?
Yeah, I can actually tell you that the way that we did it, because I talk about scent being story,
Mhm.
Lauren, is that I actually have a little story that goes with each one. So I can go down those. I mean, they're really short, but
Yeah.
okay. So the first is number one, smells like self-control. She handed me a flower. It was familiar. Maybe I'd seen it in a Renaissance painting. I remembered this flower had many names. Frangipani and Plumeria were the most recognizable. Each inhalation brought back a memory of days and moments when joy was palpable.
Mm. So
That's
if you were
Enneagram
to
1.
describe an Enneagram 1, Courtney, what would an Enneagram 1 be?
The Enneagram 1 is going to be the strict perfectionist. So the Enneagram 1 is all about attention to detail, all about everything being like right.
Not me.
This is someone who they believe that the world is essentially a broken place, but they have something in them that can help fix it. So they are very like mission driven. This is also the person that loves like an Excel spreadsheet, is all structure. This is my mother-in-law who likes to load the dishwasher a very specific way so all the forks are together and all the knives, you know, like these are those people that are that precise, right? And they and again, they're shadow and light. So in their shadowy side, they get really controlling. They have like this almost Yellowstone level simmering heat and anger that's under the surface, and they have this almost like facade of niceness that's not at all nice, like very passive aggressive looking. That's very shadowy side of one. The very beautiful side of one is like they're very precise, they're very clear, and the rest of us can, like you said, like, that's not me, and it's for me, it's not me either. But the clarity one offers is really beautiful. So like when we none of us, the three of us, are probably a 1, but we all have something to learn from a 1, right? So
that makes sense. Like somebody like me needs a 1 in my life to do the Excel spreadsheets.
Exactly. I would hope
I'm like, I don't know.
1. Right.
If I'm going through a launch, people just show up. I don't know. I'm not reaching out to anyone because I don't have the list. I love that.
Okay, so the 2, and that happens to be my Enneagram, my main number, smells like empathy. A fruit stand on the vibrant streets of Morocco catches your eye. It's smaller than the crowded one nearby, and you don't have to squeeze in front of throngs to reach a pomegranate. Your hand lands on the perfect piece of fruit as your sleeve brushes past the roses bundled in brown paper. How do they feel if they're not taken home by someone who loves flowers? The thought is interrupted by a small gold fork with a lychee on its teeth, inviting you to take a taste.
I like that.
So, yeah.
So the 2 is going to be the considerate helper. So the 2 is about generosity, and the 2 really thrives on giving and doing things for other people, which you would think is like the perfect person in the world. And in many ways, for many people, they really need a 2 in their life to show them that compassion and that someone's listening and paying attention and taking care of them and offering them support. But on the shadow side, 2s do what's called give to get. So 2s will offer support because they want somebody to say you're amazing and I love you, and they want to prove that they're lovable. So the shadowy side of 2 is feeling unloved, and the upside of 2, the beauty of 2, is that 2 thrives on generous support and compassion.
I like that.
And they're usually very tactile, like hugging and, like to be near people, like pretty energetic around people, and somewhat extroverted in many cases, like really get energy from people.
Ooh, I love that. So that's you, Lanthe?
That is me.
And you can have more than one Enneagram number within your personality, or is it like different times, or?
Yeah, you always have a core type, which is, no matter what you do in the world, you always see the main things through your core type lens. But there are a variety of different influences too, and you can move to different numbers in growth and stretch, and that's a little bit more complicated version of the conversation. But yeah, you can reach to other numbers, and some numbers reach to other numbers specifically. So it wouldn't be like as a 2 you just reach wherever you want. I mean, you can look at the energy and learn from the energy of anything, but there is a line that 2 takes and a line that 8 takes, and so forth.
I love that.
Yeah, and I can just tell you, knowing the whole give to get and that being the shadow side, is that what that helps me with personally being a 2 is if I check in with myself before I go to give something, and I make sure that I'm giving freely and giving really because there's someone that has a need that's, and not because I'm feeling unloved or feeling like I need acknowledgement, then that little adjustment, that little moment that I look at it from the perspective of the 2 in the Enneagram, I'm then going to stop myself from making those choices of giving to get. So it's another way to help us. And given I can think back at times when I was so in the shadow side of 2 and it was miserable. And now I'm not. And part of it is the awareness.
No, that makes sense. Actually understanding who you are and, and seeing that you're, where your strengths and weaknesses are, and it's starting to make a little bit more sense.
It's kind of like a tangible, it's kind of like a tangible source of understanding your value system, your core values, because you can look at, and as we all know, when your core values either aren't known, which is amazing how many people don't know their core values, and then, or they get stepped on, people just really get bent and turned upside down, and they don't really know why. They're really upset or really put off by somebody or something, but they can't figure out the source. And often if they're like looking at, I've seen a lot of people who know Enneagram say like, oh, I must have encountered this person on a dark side of whatever. And when they understand it, they actually usually offer empathy first to the
How cool.
So it is pretty cool.
And
Lanthe, will you give us a couple of these with like the notes, like the scent notes, the flavors, like which one has ylang ylang or which one has because we read some of those recently. They're so beautiful. Like it's amazing the complexity of the smells together.
Yes. Yeah. Everything I do in fragrance, it's always very layered. And like I said, it's a story. So there's always in the world of fragrance, you talk about a low note, a mid note, and a high note, but I actually do more than that. It's not just 3, but there are 3 levels. So yeah. So yes, I can tell you that this one, which is number 3, since we're at number 3, Smells Like Authenticity, has its whole story, but the actual notes of this one, it's peony flowers, it's fresh cucumber, and firewood.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So, and the idea, I don't know, maybe Courtney, you can speak to how that speaks about the energy of 3 in the Enneagram. Having those juxtapositions, the freshness and newness of the cucumber, a little touch of sweetness, and from the peony, and then the fire, the heat of the fire.
So 3 is going to be the competitive achiever. And so 3, we see a lot of like famous 3s, like musician and actress or actor 3s. And also just a lot of like people that are really big achievers and really want to be ambitious and follow. You can sometimes see like entrepreneurs and things in 3, but 3 is very driven. 3 is very ambitious. 3 is very courageous in their kind of follow through on those kind of things, but they're adaptable. They can kind of see the road ahead. They'll go really hard and fast. They're happy to do it. But what they're really always seeking is appreciation. They're seeking that feedback that says, you're amazing. I see everything you've done and how accomplished you are. They really need people to give them that in return. That's the reward for them. So like in 2, the reward is someone saying, thank you for helping and supporting me. In 3, the reward is saying, I see all your ambition and how amazing, how different you are than anybody else in the way that you can pursue this huge thing that other people aren't capable of. So like peony is kind of a showy flower, like in a beautiful way, but
I love peonies.
Right. And
so pretty.
I know, but they're a showstopper, right? And compared to something else. And cucumber has that like crispness and edge, and firewood is hot, is heat, and competitive achievers are going fast. They're burning hot all the time, and they kind of have that fireness about them. So I think that it works perfectly.
I love this. I'm assuming the listener right now is like trying to diagnose themselves. And as so am I. So, I really, since you ladies know me a little bit, after we go through the numbers, I'm going to tell you which one I think I am.
Done.
Ooh, good.
How
okay.
fun is this game? Okay. Go.
I love it. Okay. We do this actually. We do this in our rooms where we say, what do you think? What do you think they're going to be? Guess. And Courtney's been right. Courtney, you've been right 100% of the time in those rooms.
How funny.
I think so far my record is good.
Yeah. So we're at the Enneagram number 4, which smells like self-awareness. Your bare feet feel cold, the stone floor as you walk the length of the dining hall, gliding your hand along the edge of the endless wooden table. An ornate silver platter is dressed with sage bundles, fresh black figs, and parchment awaiting the main course. A crystal goblet of absinthe beckons your lips. Just a sip, you say softly. So this is black fig and absinthe and sage.
So 4 is the intense creative. So 4s are the most introspective in the Enneagram. They can like really know who they are, what they need, what they want. Like they're just really good at going deep and really understanding themselves very, very deeply. So there are a lot of other Enneagram numbers that don't like that depth, that actually are very challenged by that, but 4s are really, really good at it. 4s are also really esoteric. They are very creative. They create beautiful things. They are often musicians or artists because that reflection process is so natural to them. And they really fear not being unique. Like it's a fear. It's like a phobia for a 4 to not be unique. And so they're chameleon-like, and they'll move around the world chameleon-like because they want, I think in our candles, we have the animal associated as like the cheetah, like changing the spots because they really they're also very sensitive, but they're courageous with how they feel. They're willing to say, I'm hurt, I'm in pain, I have this, I have that. And other people are very in retreat for that introspection. So where we need to value emotional intelligence more in the world right now, 4s are our guides.
I love this. It's so interesting. And I think what I want the listener to do right now also, as well as you're like thinking about which one you might be, I would absolutely love it if you take a screenshot of the actual episode, if you're listening on iTunes or Spotify, take a screenshot and tag me in your post. And I'll tag Courtney and Lanthe as well. So we could see, and we'll do a, what do you call it? Like a drawing. And we'll, I'll talk to Lanthe and Courtney after this, but I just had a great idea. So there will be a drawing and a winner after this, because if you guessed right, and then we'll have a giveaway for sure, because this is so fascinating to me right now.
Well, I can tell you, Lauren, on that, the giveaway is that we didn't talk about this, but we created one universal well candle, which is the Wild Enneagram Love Candle, which is literally the vibration works for all the numbers, for everyone. And it's a kind of a reset and a grounding. And it smells like, and this is something I've worked on for over 10 years, wanting this smell in a bottle, wanting this smell in a candle. And it's like the word petrichor, what it smells like after a rainstorm.
I love that smell after rainstorms.
So
I think that would be a good giveaway, and I'll pay for it. And we could give it to one of the people that get in the giveaway. So that's exciting.
And it really smells like that. It doesn't smell like rain scent. It really smells like a stone street and like after lightning and the wet pavement. And
how fun.
It's phenomenal. I've been seeking that scent for like 20, 30 years too. So it's amazing that we finally found it, because it's phenomenal.
And do you make the scents from oils, Lanthe?
They are from oils. I work with master perfumers, fragrance houses in the United States. So I am a scent expert and not a perfumer. There are different categories. So I work with actual chemists. And when we work together, I describe the story. They send me different versions. I send back my revisions. They send those back. And it's a dance back and forth until we reach the scent that's been in my mind, in the library of fragrance that lives in my head. And then they manufacture it for me. And what's wonderful is that I can say, I need it to be non-toxic. I need it to be skin safe. I don't want phthalates. I don't want parabens. And we can do all of that working with these amazing fragrance houses that exist in the United States.
It's so interesting. And then we're going to get back to the program of Enneagram numbers, but I'm over here like, I absolutely, God, there was a paraben-free, all natural, like a warm vanilla smell that I used to use as a perfume sometimes. I'm going to talk to you after this episode if there's something like we could add in together to make me some fragrance. That would be fun.
Well, and actually all the candles are coconut wax based, and they're all skin safe. So when they're warm, Lanthe is actually known for creating this idea that you can actually touch it when it's warm and use it as like solid perfume.
How fun.
So with this, one of the thing we have is this discovery set of 9 2-ounce candles, and it's all the 9 Enneagram. And so when people buy that, they can actually like burn 2 together to see, like at the same time, to see how the mixed smell, or they can burn them and figure out which one they might associate most with. But if they like something, they can literally take it with them.
How cool is that? God, it just keeps getting more cooler as we talk.
That's our goal.
Yes. So you want everyone, I know everyone's like, I don't know if I've heard my number yet. So should we get, I want to make sure I give
We're on
everyone my
5,
number.
right? Are we on 5?
I think we are.
Yeah.
We are. A canopy of trees keeps the midday sun from your face as shadows dance on the forest floor to the rhythm of the wind. Red and round, the tomato catches your eye as it lays heavy on the vine. Cedar chips crunch under the weight of your hiking boots, mixed with the freshness of the vines. Is cedar, wood, and tomato vine are the main notes in that one.
Tomato vine.
You know how,
like prophecy.
Yeah, you know how tomato has that like very specific green smell?
Yeah.
But this smells like earth. It smells like, and 5 is really interesting because 5 is the quiet specialist. So the animal with 5 is like the owl. And so that earthy nighttime soil kind of smell, but it's fresher than that. It's got a light side to it as well. But the 5 is very like specific. The 5 is like the genius of the Enneagram, and 5s go really deep in understanding something with great intensity and depth. So that's Einstein was probably a 5, or, you know, like, and it's not always like IQ genius, but just depth. So 5s love to understand something all the way to the bottom of how it works. And you could ask them anything about it and they would know. They also aren't very emotionally attached. Like they tend to know how they feel, but they like to stand back and they'll process inside, but they're like a classic introvert in so much as they're not going to tell you on the surface all the things that they feel.
Ooh, I like that one. It's not me, but I like that.
I'm married to one. I'm married to a 5, and it's exactly what Courtney said.
Oh, fun. I love that.
Yep. Yeah. So 6 smells like trust. The elder hands you tobacco leaf and asks that you offer it to the spirit of the animal. You want to comply respectfully. This is not a ritual you were born to. You thank him, offering a fruit basket and loose leaf tea in exchange. His smile is a confirmation of trust. And this one is tobacco leaf and fig and fig, sage, and tobacco. Fig, sage, and tobacco.
This is one of my favorite scent combinations, but the 6 is called the loyal skeptic, and the 6 is devoted, courageous, kind of the fierce leader of a team, always prepared, very trustworthy. The 6 is vice and fear. Vice is fear. So they are always running away from, well, not running away from, they're always dealing with fear. So when we say trust, the thing they need the most is trust. And so some types of 6s are, well, all types of 6s have like a backup plan on a backup plan on a backup plan. A 6 always knows where, that's why they're a great team leader sometimes, is because they know where all like the risks are. And they're really good in like corporate business and things like that for that reason too. I tend to encounter a lot of 6s in corporate business.
Interesting.
But what is interesting too is there's one counter type 6, which will like run toward things that make them afraid. So in every type, there's a counter type. And in this one, it's like someone who looks totally different from the other 6s. But yeah, 6 is a really cool number. 6 is a very investigative personality. So sort of the detective.
Gosh. Oh, these are just so interesting. Okay, number 7, let's go.
Number 7 smells like spontaneity. Now, this is the 2 influencers you mentioned are 7. So hopefully they're listening right now, and let's see how this feels to them. Vibrant silks swirling in unison to the music, drums, an instrument you've never seen and don't know its name, and the chai tea spices rising from the steam of the tea make it impossible not to smile.
So what are the notes on that one?
So this one is spicy chai tea notes. There's also a touch of clove, a touch of cinnamon. There's a spicy warmth to this one and fun.
So 7 is the enthusiastic visionary. 7s are totally spontaneous. 7s are adventurous. 7s love travel. 7s are often like adrenaline junkies. 7s really can do, they have this like bravery, and that they're just very happy to like go where something takes them. 7s are pretty unstructured. 7s are very future oriented. They're very flexible. They are can be restless and like just always want to be doing something new. Sevens are very innovative and not very structured. Sevens are so much fun to be around and people love them. And it makes total sense that influencers would be sevens because people enjoy their energy. The advice of sevens is sevens really struggle with dealing with the more emotional side of things. They're really uncomfortable with discomfort. They hate it with like a burning passion. And I don't mean physical. I mean like, well, I guess I could be a part of it, but more emotional. When especially if they accidentally are in a position to make someone else uncomfortable, or that situation comes up, they get really, really stressed out. So sevens really avoid that. So sevens fixation is their vulnerability is limitation. They don't constrain me. I need to have all my options open. And their vice is basically like excess, like gluttony. They love to go deeply into something and really, really enjoy it with gusto. Like eat delicious food or have a huge experience or do something. That's where the adrenaline junkie kind of layer comes in.
Interesting. Okay, number 8.
All right. Smells like protection. And Courtney is an 8. So we know this one for her resonates. Ancient trees grouped together like old friends in an embrace. It's the perfect place to lay down your woven blanket, open that book you've been savoring, and take a deep breath as your nose picks up the swirling remnants of that patchouli you rubbed on your wrists this morning. And this one has ancient trees, like really old woods that are found in 3 different regions of Africa. And this one it's very sophisticated. The patchouli is a very high-end patchouli. It's very well done. Because I personally, again, we're back to the scent snobbery that we both have here. I am so off-put by bad patchouli and bad vanilla. So I promise you in my fragrances that I do, these are the best quality. And it's a touch. And there are also some herbs in this as well that are also found on the African continent. So it's just a beautiful, rich and unique fragrance. So that's the 8, my friend Courtney.
Yeah. So the 8 is called the active controller, and the 8's animal is the lion. So all this African lion connection is pretty cool with the scent profile. And when I very first got my first package in the mail from Lanthe of candles, she sent this little roll on and it was this smell. And I put a little bit on my wrist and I was just like massively obsessed with it. I couldn't stop. I was like, so when we were trying to figure out the 8 scent, we went a different way at first, and actually something I pretty much chose, but when I smelled it, I was like, oh, no, that's not it. And then I was like, no, it just needs to be that. And so that's how we landed on this one, because it is literally one of the things I'm most addicted to, in addition to the petrichor universal candle. But 8s are very assertive, decisive. 8s are protective, independent, influential, can be charismatic or magnetic. 8 women are actually relatively uncommon, and I keep finding them on Clubhouse. I found so many 8 women on Clubhouse. It's amazing. And we've all become very good friends because 8 women do tend to get kind of, I don't want to say judged, that's too harsh, but like kind of pushed back into a container sometimes, because 8 women can have this large, almost like masculine approach to being direct, whereas sometimes that will make people uncomfortable or they won't expect that from somebody. So 8 women who are very strong tend to like bond very quickly and really love each other and like gravitate to each other and trust each other, which is a big deal for 8s, because 8s aren't always trusting. 8s are concerned about being vulnerable. So 8s don't really enjoy offering their own vulnerability, but they really love offering protection. So being vulnerable and showing like, I need you, I'm falling apart, that's really hard for an 8, but an 8 will always come to the aid of justice and what's right and be very protective.
God, this, I have zero idea what I am. I thought I knew. And then it's just like, I feel like I have a part of every, like 4 of them or something. I'm like, what in the heck?
We're going to find out. There is a free assessment and everyone can know what their number is. And anyone listening, we're going to make sure that you have access to that. Because
I love that.
Yeah.
Good idea.
The last in the 9, the Enneagram, smells like harmony. Your evening walk past houses and yards with barking dogs takes you to that one corner where the fence overflows with jasmine, night blooming and sweet. It clears the air for gorgeous thoughts, the kind of scent that interrupts negative self-talk upon inhalation. And that has the lang lang in it and clary sage and jasmine.
It smells like that night blooming jasmine exotic, but like at night
Yeah.
where it's all gentle and quiet.
Ooh.
It's pretty great. It's pretty great. The 9 is the adaptive peacemaker. So the 9 is like somebody a lot of people want to be around because they're really easy on everybody else. They are intrigued by people. They'll kind of merge with some people that they love's perspective. They're really patient and understanding, and they can really see the talent of. They're kind of share some space with the 2, but the 2 is more actively supporting, and the 9 is more like instinctually understanding. This is the person that, ooh, tell me more about what that experience was like. And wow, that must have been this for you. They're always putting themselves in your position. The downside of the 9 is they forget about themselves. They forget about their own perspective to their detriment in a large degree. And they'll like kind of almost disappear into that sometimes. And so when a 9 gets tired, they literally just want to go to bed. They want to like curl up like a little sloth and like stay put for good. So
That kind of sounds like me, but
so 9s are really fun to be around and patient and accepting, but their vulnerability is they hate conflict. Any kind of conflict, they really, really, really shy away from, even if it's necessary. They can't see the benefit, and conflict is so uncomfortable for them. And their issue is they will literally. So when I was doing my certification course for Enneagram, it was really funny. We had this whole group, and we had quite a few 9s, and we had maybe 3, maybe 4 8s out of like 27, 28 people. And they were going through all the numbers, and like a long time, like an hour on each number, because obviously we're learning how to teach it. And at the very end, they get to 9, and the 2 instructors were like, well, you've learned 1 through 8, so you can guess what 9 is. So we're just going to skip over it. And they were kidding. They were trying to see what the reaction was, right? So the 9s automatically were like, okay, that's fine, no problem. And they all just, none of them spoke up. They all were like, and you could see their faces falling on the screen. There's a Zoom like required video, and they were like, oh, okay. And like basically didn't feel like they mattered, totally shrank into themselves. And all the 8s were like, no, we're doing all the numbers.
That's
totally
really funny.
Up for them. It's hilarious.
Yeah,
So,
that last part would not be me. I would be like, what is 9? So I don't know. You guys have just given so much knowledge, and I'm like, I have no idea. Like I could be part of like 4 of them.
You probably do have, like we were talking about, energy in many areas. And the more detailed, the free ones don't really get into it to a real reliable degree, but the more in-depth ones actually go through like what you are at each number out of 100. I have a little bit of a guess.
Because literally the first one, I was like 3, I'm super driven. That must be me. I'm like crazy. I was a retired firefighter with a gnarly city. And then I was like 7, everyone thinks I'm fun. They always want to be around me. And then I was like, but 8. And now I'm like 9, Ling. And I'm like, I don't know. Those are my 4 guesses, but that's not really narrowing much down.
I would take a very strong guess that so out of when you get your core number, you automatically have access to your wings, which are the 2 numbers on either side of you. So for instance, if you're a 7, you would have access to 6 and 8. So you would go toward 6, like structure and team and knowing all the backup plans, and you go toward 8, power, authority, directness, assertiveness. I'm guessing you're a 7 with a strong 3 component. I've always thought you were a 7 since I met you.
Okay. I like that. 7 with a 3.
Yeah, I think 7, but like this is where people are kind of confusing each other and themselves on Clubhouse in particular, is they'll say, I'm 7 with a 3 wing. It's like, that's not a thing, because the wings are only the numbers around, and nothing but the core type really, unless you get into the in-depth study of that person, has a lot of bearing. What's more important is there's a layer called instinctual variance. So you could be a self-preservation, an intimate, or a social 7. And those 3 types of 7s are very different. So another time we can definitely walk through with you the detail of that and help you understand like which of those you might be. But your core essence is that, to me, adventure, future thinking, go for it, bold, unafraid.
Okay, that's all me for sure.
And
so
then
like, just do it. Just come on.
The 8 quick decision stuff, firefighting, and the 6 have a plan, have a backup plan. Yeah, like that all speaks from the firefighter to me.
I love it. That makes me happy. I'm gonna have to do some research on that. And I am for sure gonna be talking to you, Lanthe, about getting some fragrance, maybe a candle. But for you listening, I would absolutely love for you to screenshot your phone right now. tag me on my Instagram stories, and I'll tag Courtney and Ianthe. So you don't have to tag us all three. And we will definitely do a drawing on the guesses. So what was the website? Do you have a website, or did you make a quiz up yourselves as well?
We have so many great resources because, as you can see, just even in this little time together, you're already like, where do I get more? And I'm going to research it. So we made it easy. We have something called thewellmethod.com, and well is with one word. I'm sorry, one L, because it's Wild Enneagram Love. Thewellmethod.com. And on thewellmethod.com, you're going to see that you can register for a free, completely free 9-day course, but you can do it in your own time. You can do the whole course in a day. You can do the course over 9 months, up to you. But it takes you through the energy of each of the 9, even more in depth than we went here. We hand all that to you. It's super valuable, and I couldn't be more grateful to Courtney for creating all of that, so that everybody gets to get into these numbers and understand all the energies. And then we have a shop there where you can find these candles that we've all been talking about and excited about. Yeah, and we have memberships and other things too. And then, of course, ways for you to very easily find our Instagram, Wild Enneagram Love, our Facebook group, which right now is open to everyone. At some point, we will be changing that, but right now, everyone's invited into our group. It's Wild Enneagram Love on Facebook. So many places to find us. And every Wednesday, Wild Enneagram Love Wednesdays on Clubhouse. We host rooms where Courtney does little mini readings. So if you find out your number, or when you find out your number, you know it, you can come into those rooms and Courtney will work with you in real time and let you know a little bit about yourself based on that number.
And what time, did you say the time on Wednesdays for Clubhouse?
It's usually been 3 o'clock Eastern, 12 o'clock Pacific. And that's subject to change. So we want to make sure you follow all of us there so that when it changes, you know. And we have the club Wild Enneagram Love. So if you just join the club, which is a free thing to do, you just join the club on Clubhouse. Most of your listeners probably already know all about this.
Yeah.
Lauren, then you'll know when, and you'll be alerted when we have our rooms, but it's usually 12 Pacific, 3 o'clock Eastern on Wednesdays.
Awesome.
Yeah, and we are thinking about switching that up. So definitely follow the club so you don't lose track of us. And we can, if you DM us on Instagram or you come to one of the Clubhouse rooms, we'll give you a link to our favorite free assessment. But really, the free ones are always a little tricky because if you're close between a couple, you can mistype. So it is good to bring that result to the Clubhouse room and have a chat about it, because we can drill it down for you and make sure that it feels as accurate as possible.
Perfect. And are you guys going to be dropping a course anytime soon, or is working one on, like, what is, because I know you said the wellmethod.com is where people can get more information and buy candles, because I'm assuming some listeners are going to want to go find that information. Is there anything that you wanted to talk a little bit more about a course coming up maybe, or?
Yeah, we can. So we have, and kind of in a course content in the wellmethod.com, same place.
Yeah.
We have a free 9-day course that you can register for any time that gives you those 9 energies, and it's self-driven. And then there are 3 different types of memberships. There is one that's a 90-day digital membership where we'll give you video content and audio content and lots of support. A second one that's kind of a mid-level where you get support for 90 days as well, but you also get gifts in the mail. So we integrate some of the gifts. And then the third one is like an immersion where it's like a 90-day challenge. There's detail, there's activities, reflections, you get a more in-depth assessment, and you really get access. And that one's really cool because it's essentially the same thing I do for corporate coaching, but a very, very small price by comparison. So those are all there, and those are all 90-day timelines, and those are all in behind the wellmethod.com 1L.
I love all of that information. So do you want to drop both of your Instagram handles separately, or is that something that you just want women to go to the Wild Enneagram Love Instagram handle?
That's a good place to go because we're always tagging ourselves in it, so they can see us individually by being there. So that's probably the simplest, is just follow us at Wild Enneagram Love, and you can find our individual handles there too.
Perfect. So when you're tagging me on my Instagram, tag Wild Enneagram Love as well to enter your guess on your Enneagram number. I think this is really exciting, ladies. Thank you so much for joining me here today and really giving education to the listener today, because I know there's just one individual ear listening in today. So thank you so much for listening in. Hopefully you have a lot more insight on Enneagrams and what that could really do for you. And hopefully you got a little bit more insight on your number, because I know I did. I was like, oh my God, there was just so much knowledge. I absolutely love what you ladies are doing. So thank you so much for today. Is there any last thoughts that you wanted to give the listener today?
I'd love to say that we're just living through a time when we're feeling so disconnected, not just from each other, but from ourselves too. And tools like this, anything that can help you feel connected and know that we're here for you in that way. And maybe this is the two energy in me speaking, but we are offering a lot of support and community, and we can't wait to have you with us. And we welcome all of you.
I love that.
And I'll just throw out, there will always be free things we'll offer, and there will always be different levels to participate. So nobody has to feel like if they don't have X dollars to give to this right now, that's going to limit them, because there's such a spectrum for how they can interact with our community, that just getting into that and just seeing what's going on is the right thing to do. And we'll keep you informed. And we have so many crazy plans. I mean, 90 days, we put this together, we move pretty fast. So it's going to be changing and evolving, and lots being added to it all the time.
I love that messy action. You can't get the confidence doing something without moving. That's what I always tell my clients as well, is that you get the confidence from the actual action steps that you take. As I said, on my last episode, I said, I'm going to be saying this same darn sentence over and over again until I'm lying in my grave, that confidence comes from the action steps that we take. So keep moving forward, ladies. I love what you two are doing. And again, their website is thewellmethod.com, and you could find them on Wild Enneagram Love on Instagram. So on that, tag us, the Wild Enneagram Love and the Lauren Glick, with your Enneagram number, and we will be doing a giveaway. So hopefully you got a lot of insight from this, because I know I did. And on that, loves, thank you so much, and we will see you on the next episode. Bye, ladies.
Thank you, Lauren.
Of course. Thank you for being here. I hope you are so excited about where you're going, because I know I'm excited for you. Thank you so much for listening in today. If you loved this episode, it would mean the world to me if you shared it with a girlfriend or posted it on social media. Tag me so I could personally say thank you. I am so grateful. And until next time,